Hey YouTubers, Mars here, aka Mars 1952. And today I'm going to talk about how to get the most use out of your batteries. As you know, most of your batteries sit around in various devices until they go bad, most of the time unused. So you also probably heard 1,000 times that to fall back or spring forward, one of the two, they suggest you change your smoke alarm batteries, or just change your batteries in general. Now, I use that as a time to change out my batteries. All my mission critical batteries I change out in spring forward. So I do it spring ahead. So arrayed before me is just some of the plethora of battery powered devices that I have to deal with. And we have mission critical ones like this one that stays in my wife's car. This has to be there to work when necessary. I don't think it's ever been used, and we've had this thing for more than 10 years now. I converted it to LED and put high quality batteries in it and change the batteries out every year. These two flashlights are beside our bed, same deal. LED conversions, or this one came as an LED. And of course, smoke alarms are mission critical. But then we have other devices that just sort of sit around. I've got a whole bunch of these. Get these from Harbor Freight free with purchase on a regular basis. Almost get them so frequently that I don't need to even change the batteries. If the batteries ran out, I could just throw them away. But I don't like to do that. So after the batteries run down a little bit, I'll replace the batteries. And you can see here, to get the batteries, you have to take screws out. And that's sort of a pain. So when I do change the batteries out, I put a label on them. These were done 8/17 last year. High quality batteries, and like this one is dedicated to sit next to one of our guest beds. And I have one of these in every car, the RV, actually a couple of them in the RV, the tractor and the Polaris Ranger. Everywhere that I could possibly need a battery, I have one of these squirreled away with a battery date label on it. So I can change these out. I'm planning on changing the batteries out at least every 2 years. But I could change them out once a year and use them up in other devices like my TV remote control this gobbles up batteries fairly frequently. Only uses 2 of them. Or the flashlights that I use to go out and check on my bees or just check on things, that's usually one of these things. I do have a more powerful flashlight that I use. And there's a couple other things. Oh, the mouse, I've got a couple of battery powered mice. They use up batteries pretty frequently. And these remote controls, these are for some portable burglar alarms that we use to keep track of our pets. So a cat or dog tends to misbehave in one area of the house. We put one of those alarms in there, and if the pet moves into that area, it sets off the alarm. These use 9-volt batteries, so the smoke alarm batteries get recycled into those. And somewhere here I've got another one. Here we go. I've got a couple of these. These are sort of old, but they still work. These are remote controls for switches that switch on 110 volt, 120 volt devices. I have this one on my dust collector in the shop. So I can just stick this in my pocket and turn the dust collector on and off as needed, so I don't have to listen to it when I don't need to. But these eat batteries. I have another one hooked up to a big fluorescent light. Well, it used to be fluorescent, I converted it to LED. So smoke detector batteries get used in there too, although you usually use up all those smoke detector batteries and have to get into new ones. I can't remember if I mentioned this, the headphones. This only uses one AAA, but it only lasts about 3 days. So I use these all the time. So I have a way to use up the AAAs, the AA's, and the 9 volts. The D cells are a little harder to get rid of. I don't use those so often. They just sit in the battery, not in the battery, in the flashlight until they need to be replaced mostly. but I replaced them before they really need to be replaced because they're mission critical. The C cells, like they go into here, I don't have any place to use these once I take them out. I just like the C cells because I like the size. They have plenty of power. But I guess I need to dedicate some kind of device that's powered by C cells so I can use up the batteries. Now that I think of it, I do have a telescope that automatically tracks that uses C cells, but it uses a pile of them. It uses like 8 or 10 of the things. It's unlikely that I have enough used ones that match to go in there. So now another thing I do is I have things like this that I only use every once in a while. This is a device where you plug it into an outlet. It sends out a radio signal that you pick up with this. You go down to your circuit breaker panel and you can scan up and down and figure out what circuit breaker is the outlet is plugged into, or the lamp, whatever. Turn it off and the signal goes away. That way you know for sure you've got the right circuit breaker turned off. So those batteries, I usually don't have a battery in there. I put it in when I need it. Here's another device. This is test Ethernet wires, or Ethernet, I guess some people call it. I don't keep a battery in here, and I've labeled it as such. And the other devices, battery will last in these things for quite a while if you don't do a lot of resistance testing. But first thing you know, they're corroded and go bad, and ruins your device. So I put them in there, and I label when I put them in. I don't like to leave them in here for more than a year. Once again, use them up someplace else. I've been doing that with this thing. This I bought. I don't know if that shows up. This is my favorite ohm meter. I got this at Radio Shack in 1975, and so imagine I've changed out the battery quite a few times. So what else we have here? I think I mentioned the mouse. So now, so I guess one other thing I didn't point out, I've got a box that says good batteries on it. This is where I put all the batteries that I've pulled out and tested to be used in other devices. But I'll show you how to test them here after I clear this junk out of the way. Oh, one other thing. This clock mounts on the wall in the kitchen has a change the batteries in the spring. Tomorrow, actually tonight after midnight, is when daylight saving spring forward happens. Yesterday morning, this quit. I changed the battery in the spring, and I looked at it, and the battery was corroded, and it had made just a bad contact. So I popped the battery out, cleaned it with baking soda solution, a little bit of baking soda and water and a toothbrush, and it's good as new. But that usually doesn't happen if you're diligent about taking your batteries out every year. All right. We'll magically make this disappear. Alright, I'm back, and I'm going to show you how to use a free tester to test your batteries. So, let me zoom in here. Okay, so I guess I'm not ready because I didn't cut this stupid thing open. I've got this cut open now. And obviously, I bought too many batteries. I'm not going to be able to use all those. So anyway, I've got my mission critical flashlight here. The batteries came out of it. This has just been sitting in the car for a year. It hasn't been used. And we have a battery, not a battery test, a multimeter from Harbor Freight. This is free with purchase. So it basically costs nothing. I buy some small thing and they give me stuff for free, including these blue flashlights. So anyway, like this battery has a tester built into it, I think. I don't know how that's supposed to work. Push it or something. But those are useless. And you can buy little testers where you drop the battery in and it's supposed to test it. Those are useless too. This, even though it's not a very high quality instrument, it still will work and it'll do everything you need to do to test a battery. It even has a battery testing function on it someplace here, which I've never used because I didn't like it. I think the HFE is it or something. The easiest way to do it is use the amp meter. So here we've got amps, 10 amps DC, and so positive goes into the amp, negative goes into common. and we turn it to DC amps right here. 10 amp. Turn it on, and we'll test the batteries. So you put the positive on the positive end, negative on the negative end. So we're getting about 1.78, 1.76 amps out of that battery. You can see I labeled this battery and I put it in an 1117, so this is not that old. I'm not sure why I did it then. Oops, got it backwards. Backwards works, it just shows a minus. Same, 1.75, 1.76. Now here is a brand new hot battery. And that's only 1.6, what do you know? Okay, closer to 1.8. So there's nothing wrong with these batteries, even though they've been in there a few months. So these match, they can be used in just about anything. And I'll compare them to these other batteries. This is not a mission critical flashlight, but I intend to use it as such. Now these are pretty old batteries. I have no idea how old, but it'd be interesting to see how they test. Yeah, see 1.45 amps. 1.5. So they're still usable, but they're not that great. So I couldn't mix, in the same application, I couldn't mix this battery with these batteries. I'm going to have to pause and get some batteries that are a better demonstration. Here we go. We don't need to pause. These batteries are starting to get weak on my remote control. Oops. We'll test those compared to a new battery. Well, yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll do one more thing. Just going to find some good AAA or AA's here. Now, when you're doing this, you have to have some kind of system to make sure you don't get these things mixed up, because you end up having to retest everything to figure out where the new batteries are and where the old batteries are. So 1.87, 1.9. So those actually aren't that bad. I wonder if I just changed those. I think I did actually, because my batteries were running weak. Yeah, I must have, because the new batteries aren't really as hot as the old ones. These new batteries, even though they have never been used, they've been in this box for who knows how long. I frequently make the mistake of buying too many batteries, and then they sit around and just go bad from old age. So anyway, one other test you can do is you switch this to the volt, and you check the voltage of the batteries. Because like I said, a lot of these new devices are voltage sensitive. So if your volts are too low or one battery is bad, I'm going to switch to volts. Volts DC 20. Now this should be pretty close to 1.5. That's not backwards. Positive. Yeah, it is backwards. The COM stays in the COM. Little operator error there. Let's switch this to volts. 1.58 volts. So there's really nothing wrong with these batteries. And compare them to the new ones, or probably not as new but unused. These have a little bit higher voltage. 1.6. So these are close enough that I wouldn't, like for instance, if I was trying to decide whether I could use these together, this is close enough. All four of these batteries could go in the same device if I needed to. I'll just put these back. And these can go back in the, back over the good batteries. So anyway, that's, let's do a 9 volt. So these are some 9 volts that I took out of a smoke alarm. These actually in that box that I had here. They've never been used. Once again, we'll do the volts. It's already set up for volts. We'll do that first. Positive, negative. And how is that backwards? Oh, okay, this is a positive. This is a negative. Alright, so these have been in a smoke detector that's never been used, but it's been in the drawer for 5 or 6 years. So voltage has dropped to 3. These are totally useless. Now, smoke detectors do not last. I learned that after these smoke detectors have been sitting in a drawer for a long time. They've got a radioactive material in there that has a fairly short half-life, and it just goes away, and the smoke detectors are useless. So I'm not sure how long they last, 5 years or so. But so if you need to, I probably should look that up, and maybe I'll put that as a highlight here somewhere. How long your smoke detectors can go. You should replace them periodically. I'm not sure how often. So let's take one of these other devices. I'm going to have to pause it here until I find a device that needs a battery. I think you pretty much have the idea here, how to test the batteries to see if they're any good. Let me, these batteries are still usable, but they're not good enough for mission critical, so I'm going to put those in with the good batteries. I'll use them in another flashlight. I'll put the mission critical flashlights back together. Oops, forgot an important thing. I'll write the date on here. Because you can imagine with 30 or 40 things with batteries, it's just, I can't remember them. So this is 4, no, yeah, no, only 3. 3/18. Ooh, that squeaks. Need to put a little bit of lube on there. Oops. $3.18. This one I'm going to put in my car. It was just sitting on the counter in the kitchen, not getting used. So I converted it to LED. Belonged to my mom, actually. Alright, so here, this is one I keep beside my bed. Let's take these batteries out and test them. Let's do voltage first. Now you'll notice that the bigger the battery, the more amps you can get out of it. Although this isn't that great. 5.6. No, we're doing voltage, not amps. 1.58, which is actually good for voltage. Not so great for amps, but good for voltage. 1.58. 1.58. These are very consistent. They should be, because I think I've only used these once or twice all year. So let's compare them to, who knows how old these batteries are. I should probably get in the habit of labeling the batteries when I buy them so I know how long they've been sitting around. 1.61, slightly better voltage. Oops, backwards here. 1.61. Alright, so those are great. Now let's switch back over to amps. Check the amperage. The comm stays where it goes, where it belongs. Go to 10 amps. 1.89. Come on. 1.84. This one's a little weak. Yeah, it's a little bit weaker than the other two. I'll compare them to the new, relatively new. Yeah, see, these are hotter. 1.9. That's a little bit weaker. Not too bad though. Now that one's weak. What is going on here? No, this should be okay. Alright, so I'm going to put these in my mission critical flashlight and remember to label at least one of them. Put the one with the label in last, so it makes it easier to check if I've changed the batteries recently. I hope all this is getting up on the screen. We'll see. Let's do another one just for the heck of it. Can't swear on YouTube. This one uses 2 batteries. Hopefully I can use these. Alright, we're set up for for amps. Let's do the amps first. Fairly hot. 1.843. This one's not quite as hot. Let's see what this one does. So I wanted to be able to use these because they're a pair. Now these are actually weaker than the ones that are in the flashlight. I wonder how old these are. 1.8. I'm not going to use those in the mission critical flashlight. Put that over here. They'll use brand new ones or as new as I have. 0.88. Yeah, those are close enough. Okay, so label them again. Alright, well that's probably more than you ever wanted to see. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I can't think of anything else. Just do a really simple recap. Basically, you pick a time of the year. It could be Christmas as far as I care. Spring ahead, fall back, Christmas, Easter, New Year's, whatever, to change out your batteries. You just do it consistently. With the advent of smartphones, you can put a notification in your calendar to remind you every year to do it. Take the devices that you, like I said, mission critical, always put hot batteries in them every year. Use up the old batteries and your other stuff, battery gobbling devices. Take the stuff that you don't use very often and just pull that battery out of there so that it doesn't corrode. And the rare occasion that you need it, you can put a new battery in. Take out of your good battery box, use it for a while, and you can put it right back in there. So nothing just sits in the drawer and goes to waste. That's all for now.